Hello, BookTube. I've got another Irish poem to read you today from the Penguin Book of Irish Poetry. This purchase of mine from the book depository that I got years ago and it's somehow still with us. One of you sent me an electronic version of this to remind me that I had it and that I, in fact, have a great deal more poetry anthologies than I thought I did. Point taken. I have quite a few. I went through, and even in the Penguin bookcase alone. I've got plenty of poetry anthologies, not just the 6 that I've been using. But it's such an Irish day today here in Boston. It's overcast and just stubbornly cool, almost chilly. Not pleasant to walk around with. Just it always feels like it's threatening rain. That I thought we'd do another Irish poem for Poetry Thursday. So I picked a slightly longer one. This is from a poet named Patrick McDonagh. That's a fairly famous poem. It's called "Oh, Come to the Land," and it is structured. Each stanza is a different viewpoint, a different. There are 2 viewpoints here, one positive and one negative, if you want to call it that, and they are even orthographically different. One is in normal print and one is in italics, and it's sort of a call and response between the 2, just so you don't think I'm going schizophrenic or losing my mind. This is called "Oh, Come to the Land." And it's of course about Ireland, at least on the surface it is. Oh, come to the land of the saint and the scholar, where learning and piety live without quarrel, where the coinage of mind outvalues the dollar, and God is the immanent shaper of thoughts and behavior, where old ceremonious usage survives as the moral and actual pattern of grace, where the blood of our Savior is real as our sin and replenishes spirit and brain, till they blossom in pity and love as our fields in the rain. Once again, we have the rain. We're right out of the gate with the rain. Then comes the response. No, not oh come, but no, but come to a land where the secret censor snouts in the dark, where authority smothers the infant conscience and shadows a denser darkness on ignorant minds in their torturous groping for speechless, specterless day. A land where austerity mothers coldly deliberate sins, where harsh masters are roping the heels of the heavenly horse and blinding the light, incorruptible eye that dares open in passionate light. Then we get the next side. Oh, come to the land where man is yet master of tyrannous time and will pause for the pleasure of speech or of sport, the wild worldly disaster pluck at torn sleeves, a land where soft voices meet answering laughter, where the business of living is leisure, where there's no heart so pure, so poor, but it's kindly and quick and rejoices, in horse or in hound, or in the meddlesome boy with a ball, where a jibes for the proud, but a hands for the helpless from all. You can see what's going on here, right? 2 different portraits are being painted here. Then we have the response. No, but come to a land where the medieval dread of the woman mutters in corners, thunders from pulpits, where the only evil lacking forgiveness is love. A land where the spirit withers the flowering flesh, where whispering mourners crowd to the grave of romance and expect to inherit great scandalous wealth to lighten long evenings and bring a venomous joy to harsh lips whose kiss is a sting. Laying it on rather thick there. Then we move back to the sunny side of the street. Oh, come to the land where imagination fashions the speech of the common people, rich as a tenement's shattered moldings, where the wrong of defeat has bequeathed to a nation ironic traditional wit, like a polished steeple rising precise and clear from the huddled holdings of intricate minds that, in the face of eternity, know harsh humor and absolute faith their soul strongholds below. The famed Irish wit. And then we move to the concluding. A little bit ominous that the final word is given to the italic side, the negative side. No, but come to a land where the dying eagle is mocked by the crow and the patient vulture, where nobility fails and the ancient regal pride of inheritance yields to the last invaders. Image and harebrained song, the scum of an alien culture bubbling in village and street, where unmannerly traders and politic slaves have supplanted the gentle and the brave, where the hero will never have honor except in the grave. And once again, you can tell what are Patrick McDonagh's dates. You're going to be able to sense it anyway. His dates are 1902 to 1961, so a good chunk of the 20th century. And I think you can tell that. Does this anthology give me the date on which the poem was published. No, it does not. But one of the ways I think you can tell is that I'm sure that you could hear some of the rhyme schemes that are going on there. There are rhymes lilted all throughout this thing, but it's impossible to hit them in speech. They are once again being designed to be read. Your eye will encounter a lot more of what's going on in this poem than any reading voice will do. And that is very, very 20th century. That I maintain that if you saw that in a poem and thought, okay, that's the 20th century, you'd be more likely to be right by a long shot than wrong. And it's fascinating. I believe that there is a huge amount of hyperbole going on both sides. The "O Come to the Land" parts are almost an Ireland tourism poster, right? The way they describe the humble folk and the green land and whatnot is idealized. It's brushed up from the everyday normal. And I believe the same thing is true of the "No Come to the Land" parts, the italic parts that are designed to describe the horrible underbelly of Ireland that hates women, that's run by a rabble of foreign cultures, that's a horrible, degraded place. They're both exaggerated. And the point that I would make is that if you wanted to, you could do that about anywhere. It isn't just Ireland. You could easily do. In fact, there are huge schools of poetry that do that on either side for America. Not so much the first side anymore. Not so much the "O Come to the Land," but once upon a time, yes, great barrelfuls. I thought that it was lovely. It's not quite satisfying to read out loud. I don't think. I don't think it was ever meant to do that, which is kind of weird. I've been reading through this volume. This volume's been on my nightstand. I've been reading through it since I was so gently reminded that I own it. And I've noticed that the oral element, the all-important oral element of Irish literature, gradually seeps out of these things the further forward you go in the book. By the time you get to, there's a large number of 20th century poets represented here, and by the time you get to them, that element is fugitive. If it shows up, it's rare enough to grab your attention. Whereas in a lot of the earlier decades and centuries, it's the organizing principle. So I find that fascinating. I'm not willing to write off the poems that don't have that. But you notice that in this poem, it eases us in, but then it largely goes away. What was that? There was a terrific... it starts off and then it just sort of falls apart. It starts off with, "O come to the land of the saint and the scholar, where the learning and piety live without quarrel, where the coinage of mind outvalues the dollar." See, that's perfect. That the footing there is perfect for those end rhymes, but that's the last time it happens. Then it moves on from there in the positive and the negative sides. Very interesting thing. Very glad that I'm looking through this. I'm hoping that tomorrow will not have such Irish weather that I feel compelled to go back to that, because we have plenty of other poems to do. But we'll find out. These things are largely by whim, so we'll see what tomorrow's poem... you get another Irish poem today, maybe another one tomorrow as well. Maybe we'll finish out the week with Irish poetry, since we are, after all, the best poets of them all. Thank you, BookTube.